The Freemasons Hall, on the corner of Dorcas and Farrar Street, South Melbourne, or Emerald Hill, as it was originally named, has been the home of the Melbourne Camera Club since the club purchased the building in the late 1970s. The building came into being when, in 1876, the members of the Yarra Yarra Lodge of Freemasons purchased the land on which was to be erected a Freemasons Hall. Emerald Hill architects Adamson and McKean were entrusted with the work of preparing plans. The builder was Mr. Leonard Hafner, and the cost of the building, when complete, was expected to be £2,500. As it turned out, it was probably less than that, at about £2,000. The Age, on the 10th of June 1876, reported that the front and side elevation is of a most appropriate character, being of the Corinthian order of architecture. The main entrance is from Dorcas Street and is of a most commanding style. Over the doorway will be placed the coat of arms. Mystery has surrounded this amazing coat of arms. Whose coat of arms were they? Well, it turns out they are of the District Grand Lodge of Victoria, as 1876 was before the Grand Lodge of Victoria was united. The Latin words Audi, Vide, Tace, inscribed below, translates as hear, see, be silent. Moving inside the building, the supper room, committee rooms, anteroom and offices are entered via the main door. The supper room, now used as a photographic studio, could seat about 100 guests. Other rooms are used as a darkroom, kitchen and storage. It took only a few years for Yarra Yarra Lodge to lose the building due to financial difficulties. However, they reacquired it again in 1910. Only to stop meeting there again by 1925. From then, the building was occupied variously by church groups, the Tri-Boys Society and others, until Joseph Taylor took over the building to run his automotive business from 1927 to 1966, specialising in Dijon, Bouton and Talbot cars. After his death in 1966, the building gradually fell into disrepair until it was forcibly acquired by the council and subsequently sold to the Melbourne Camera Club in 1979.
We first looked at this building and rejected it, but came back to it later. The council had changed their requirements. It was in a very poor state, and we had our first meeting in the club rooms downstairs on a dirt floor. The contract for the major restoration was $100,000 plus a lot of work by club members. In fact, I think it affected our photography for at least the next 10 years.
The Melbourne Camera Club has a history of continuous activity since it was founded in 1891, making it one of the oldest photographic clubs in Australia. The club was the inspiration of Ludovico Hart, the instructor in photography at the Working Men's College. The club provided a meeting place where students and graduates of the college could pursue the art and practice of photography and, in admitting women, was in advance of its time. The lodge room is reached via the Victorian hand-carved staircase, which, with a prominent newel post, ascends and twists to the upper floor without the occurrence of intermediate newels. Because indoor gatherings were prohibited during the influenza epidemic of 1919, the club was obliged to continue its activities with outdoor meetings and excursions. As the college did not reopen after the epidemic, the Working Men's College Photographic Club changed its name to the Melbourne Camera Club and commenced operations at the YMCA building in the second half of 1919. This was the first of 13 moves in the next 60 years. The lodge room is now used as a gallery and meeting room. Its impressive covered ceiling with pilasters, with richly foliated caps and panels inlaid with marble, is largely intact. The club survived the depression of the 1930s, but with a reduced membership and in a precarious financial position. Yet enthusiasm remained high and much work of international standard was produced. A permanent collection of prints and slides was started in 1948, and the club now has a substantial collection of prints and photographic memorabilia.
The Melbourne Camera Club's been very fortunate in having an extensive archive collection, mostly relating to the photographers from the club, but we also have a collection from significant Australian photographers like Max Dupain, Harold Casino, Athol Smith, and even some photos of international significance, such as some from Lord Snowdon and the very famous photograph of Winston Churchill by Karsh.
Several disappointments, the Melbourne Camera Club secured the magnificent but dilapidated Freemasons Hall. After considerable work by club members, the fully restored, prestigious amateur photographic club rooms were opened in 1981 by the Premier of Victoria, Sir Rupert Hamer. Today, the club is still thriving, offering many special interest groups, public exhibitions, competitions and weekly meetings to its more than 250 members.
Since 1876, this building has been successfully repurposed and continues to attract interest and engage with the local community. Fortunately, the Melbourne Camera Club owns this beautiful historic building that has stood the test of time. It's unusual for a camera club to own its own premises. However, I believe this paves the way for the future of this building and for many generations to come.